Hello, welcome to Alyssa Jean's Reviews. My name is Alyssa, and this is my review for Star Trek Picard, Season 3, Episode 3, 17 Seconds. Nice to get an episode title that isn't trying to riff off of something from The Next Generation. Anyways, major spoilers ahead if you have not seen this episode, as I'm going to jump right into it. You've been warned. I don't know why you would even click on this if you hadn't watched the episode, but here we go. The changelings! I was giggling like a little girl. The changelings! I was so excited about the changelings. Now, of course, this isn't the all of the changelings. This is a splinter group who did not want to go along with Odo's reconditioning of them or to accept solids, and that makes a lot of sense. And also, when Worf made the reference to Odo, even though he didn't say his name, he was referring to Odo. I was just like, hey, he's talking about that guy from the other show! Which I was just so excited about. There's really a lot to love in this episode besides just the reveal that we're dealing with changelings here. I have questions, but I'll get to that toward the end of the video. But I love the merging between Deep Space Nine and Next Generation, and the show acknowledging that Worf existed on Deep Space Nine, which Nemesis didn't do. I think also Insurrection, actually going back to First Contact, because he was Defiant in First Contact. He was already in Deep Space Nine, and the movies just kind of poo-pooed that aside. It was like, oh no, Worf is a Next Generation character. We're not going to mention that on the show. So I love how they're kind of merging the two worlds together. He also, when he introduced himself, mentioned Martok. I love all of that, and I'm loving the dynamic between Worf and Raffi. But that's really the side plot. The main plot was intense. It was another one of those kind of submarine-style episodes like we saw a couple times in Strange New World Season 1. Just really done right. And it reminded me a lot of Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, which is kind of what I alluded to at the end of last week's review. It seemed like we were getting into that territory. Even the music was a little similar, but it wasn't just that. It felt just in general like a really intense submarine type, cat and mouse type episode, and it really worked. But there was also some really powerful character scenes. Love the scene between Jean-Luc and Beverly. So this was supposed to be my overall thoughts, but let me just go ahead and jump into some of the details. I do want to start with Jean-Luc. We do get the little flashback scene where the episode gets its title, the 17 Seconds. I questioned how necessary it was. I mean, it does set up kind of the stakes for Picard in his attachment to being a father and what that means to him. And he later goes on to his own turbo lift ride that is the longest turbo lift ride in his life or whatever. I feel like we could have been gone without the scene. It would have been okay, but I do think it's not totally misplaced. But for me, the scene where Jean-Luc and Beverly have this confrontation, first of all, love that it was placed right at the beginning of the episode. We just get right to that. Let's get right to the point. And at first I had to kind of think about Beverly's rationale and whether that really did make sense. I mean, Picard wasn't always in danger all the time in every episode. But when you think about it, he was pretty frequently. I mean, you know, he was tortured by Cardassians. he was replaced by a doppelganger and put in a prison. That's a more obscure episode, Allegiance. I'm just popping off episodes that are coming to my head. Of course, he was turned to a Borg. And Beverly listed some examples that would have been post TV show. I think she referenced Nemesis too, because she said something about the Remans show. So yeah, it's valid. She's got valid points. And Jean-Luc also has valid points. Jean-Luc was like, you made the decision for me that was unfair. Like, that allow me to decide whether I want to be a father or not. But she also was talking about, well, I could raise my son. I don't know if I can raise yours. So I thought they both had good points. But more to the point, the emotional exchange between them was just it was so good, and both of them acted it beautifully. I loved this scene. Now we haven't had Picard really connect with Jack yet. We had a nice little Riker connecting with Jack scene, and Riker kind of encouraging Picard to reach out to him. And I suspect that will come later. I'm still hoping they avoid the Star Trek II thing where they have one conversation and now they're bonded for life. And then so when Jack dies, and Picard will go, you Klingon bastards. I think they're going to avoid that, though. I don't think they're going to make that same mistake. But clearly something they're building towards still for the Picard and Jack kind of coming together, but Picard is still affected by the fact that he has a son, and it does drive his every action, and he kind of unreasonably puts the ship in danger for Jack. And I don't know, at first I was questioning whether this was out of character for Jean-Luc, but it's been 20 years. I think he should be a different person. He is a very different person than we saw him on the bridge of the Enterprise, but he should be. And he's not so different than what he was in Picard Season 1. We're going to pretend like Picard Season 2 didn't exist. But he's not so different. So this is all working for me. And I love that Shaw was like, Riker, you got us into this mess. You get to be captain now. I was questioning why Riker didn't release 7 of 9, but maybe he's just trying to respect the captain's wishes. He's not trying to, he's not going to do a Jellicoe and take out the fish tank. He doesn't want to rearrange things. He just feels responsible for getting the crew home safely, which he says a couple times in this episode, I'm going to get them home. So, yeah, so ultimately that does work for me. So let me get into the Worf and Raffi of it all, or Raphael as he calls her. I love their dynamics. I think Raffi and Worf have a better dynamic than Raffi and anyone else from season 1 or 2, including 7 of 9. It just works so well. And Michael Dorn delivering on the humor. He has a couple of lines that just written on paper could be cheesy, and if not delivered well, could come across as eye-rolly, like, oh God, really? But he delivers them. The first one is when he did the Daenerys type introduction. I am Worf, son of Moog, son of Verzhenko, from the house of Martok. Would you like some chamomile tea with sugar in it? that his delivery is what sold it for me. If not for the delivery, I could have been like, that was lame. But Michael Dorn pulls it off. And then there's another line where I cracked up laughing. I laughed out loud. The line where first Raffi is like, oh, you look like you're dressed up for a beheading on Tuesdays. And then later, after Worf kicks that dude's ass, he's like, beheadings are on Wednesdays. That was so good. His delivery. It's just deadpan delivery. I freaking love Michael Dorn in this show. Like, where was Michael Dorn in previous seasons? Again, I will repeat what I said before. They should have started the story here. Of course, we wouldn't know who Raffi was, but still, I don't know. I'm really, really enjoying Michael Dorn as Worf. And then, as I said, we get the Changeling reveal. So this is a splinter group. This is a group of changelings who, from my reading of it, are rejecting Odo's teachings. They're like, fuck you. we are not going to accept the solids as equals. We want to destroy them. And also we get to reveal that the portal thing is just a red herring. That's not even the main goal. So we still don't even know what the main goal is for them. Now, so here are my questions. So is Vadic a changeling? Or, I mean, she's a changeling like smoking a cigar who acts all crazy? Or is there something else here going on besides just the changelings? I'll be in wait and see mode. I want to see how they answer this as the season goes on. I'm not sure how accepting I'm going to be of her as being a changeling, but even that, maybe they'll smooth that over. Maybe they'll make it make sense. So I will reserve judgment on that. We'll see what's going on. We definitely do not have the full picture here. I also was wondering, if what they really want is Jack, then how come the changeling on the Titan didn't take Jack and sling him over his shoulder and beam over to the Shrike, the other ship? Like, why did he like knock him out and try to kill him? Like, I thought their goal was to get Jack. So I don't know. I mean, maybe their goal isn't really to get Jack. Maybe that's a red herring too. We don't know. So I'll just wait and see. I was a little confused by that, but I'll definitely just reserve judgment until we see the full picture, which is still being painted here. But I love the direction that they're going into by having the changelings involve the splinter group of the changelings. So I'm very excited to see what is going to happen next. Before I wrap up, I just wanted to circle back around to one thing I forgot to mention within that Picard and Beverly confrontation, as we did get the answer to my question from last week about did they have sex or what, and they kind of laid it out pretty well, the circumstances in which that happened. So I feel satisfied in that answer. I still think Jack looks way older than 20. I have to look up to see what the age of the actor is. I'm not sure about that, but I'm sure he's older than 20. But whatever. You know, we always have to suspend disbelief on the ages of characters all throughout film and television, so whatever. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. So maybe the other questions that I just posed about Vadic and the changelings, maybe I'll get satisfying answers to those too. So I'm holding off for that. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up and give my rating out of 10. 1 being the lowest possible score and 10 being the highest possible score. My rating out of 10 for 17 seconds. I think I'm going to go 10. Like, I just really enjoyed this episode. Again, it's a 10 that could come down again if they don't go in a good direction with the show, but they're already starting to go in a good direction with the changeling reveal. So I'm feeling pretty good about this episode. Powerful, emotional character scenes, just excitement on the ship, and great chemistry between Worf and Raffi, and Michael Dorn was crushing it. He was the MVP for me with everything else that was going on with Riker and Picard. I love Michael Dorn in this episode. All right, that does it. A 10 out of 10. Thank you for joining me this week. I will be back next week. Hope they keep this rolling. Hope that this continues to get better. But I will let you know what I think next week. Another little announcement, because I haven't had a chance to make my March calendar video yet. Usually I've made it by this point in the month. I'll get around to it soon. But just so you know what's happening on my channel, tomorrow, Friday, March 3rd, is I will be dropping my video for Star Trek Enterprise, my 10 least favorite episodes. in Star Trek Enterprise. The following week, it'll be followed up by my 20 favorite Star Trek Enterprise episodes. But Friday, March 3rd, check out my channel for that. My 10 least favorite Star Trek Enterprise episodes. All right, everybody, please subscribe if you have not already, and I will see you really soon. Goodbye.